Thank you, and welcome to Disavowed. And today I have a special guest with me, John Hugo from Super Happy Fun America. Is that correct, John?
That is correct.
All right, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization.
Well, I'm a lifelong Massachusetts resident, and in 2018, I was a Republican nominee in the Massachusetts 5th Congressional District after winning the primary. And that's a very frustrating thing in Massachusetts. I'm in one of the toughest districts in the entire country, and I took on Catherine Clark, who absolutely has refused to debate her entire career. She's never once been in a debate. Shows what type of a monolithic one-party state we actually live in, because of course the press lets her get away with that. If it was the opposite, no Republican would be allowed to not have a debate. But be that as it may, after that election, I decided with Mark Sahady, we formed the group Super Happy Fun America, and we decided to have a straight pride parade. And I figured it would be newsworthy, but we didn't realize it would become a global phenomenon. And as soon as it leaked out because of a New York Times reporter thinking she was outing us, it became the top story in the world, on number one on Twitter. It went crazy, and we literally, within 4 days, were being attacked by every single leftist newspaper, not just in this country, but in the world. It was an amazing thing. And we'd say, you can have a gay pride parade. Why can't you have a straight pride parade? But apparently on the left, the only standard is the double standard, because apparently we were not allowed to have a straight pride parade. And the city of Boston fought us tooth and nail. It all started off when we wanted to fly the straight pride flag on the city flagpoles. We found out they had turned down only one other group, and that was Camp Constitution, who wanted to fly a Christian flag. So as it came out in the courts, they allowed 300 flags, including communist flags, Muslim flags, things like that, and of course, gay pride flags. And the only two flags that were not allowed in the city of Boston were Christian flag and straight pride flag. How about that?
I completely believe it. So when you eventually, I assume you pulled a permit for the parade, correct?
Yeah, after a long, arduous process and ridiculous opposition from the Walsh administration, yes.
Did you have to take any legal action, or?
We filed a complaint with the Mass Commission Against Discrimination. We filed federal injunctions. Oh, yeah. Nobody else has ever had to go through what we had to go through to have an event. But, basically, we used their own laws against them. They made it illegal to discriminate based on sexual orientation. So they had to argue that straight was not a sexual orientation, which of course it is. And so we ultimately won our right to have our parade. It was incredible. The news, all the reporters, they called us a hate group. They called us Nazis. They called us white supremacists. And we were one of the most diverse groups you've ever seen. As a matter of fact, 5 out of 8 of our main speakers, you were there, were African Americans, right? And yet they refused to show that. And the press kept saying there was only going to be 10 people there, 10 people. Hell, we had 62 reporters fly in from all over the world. Hundreds of people showed up. We had an awesome parade, and we posted the footage online, but they did nothing but lie about us. And 6 months later, they're still lying about us. There were 36 arrests from what we call the gay Gestapo and Antifa. And we have such a liberal city, our DA, Rachel Rollins, dismissed every single charge, including 9 assaults against the police. So this is what we're dealing with now. We're actually watching people who run our law system, run our courts, run our DA's offices, many backed by George Soros and their ilk. They are nullifying crimes committed against people who are on the right, and they're enabling leftist violence. It's really quite a frightening change of affairs.
Right. It's definitely a dangerous world out here to be a right winger and put your beliefs on the forefront, obviously. Now, my question to you is, why now, and why have you decided to take this stance?
Because absolutely frightening things are going on in our state. If you could see the agenda, the things that they are teaching children into schools. It's absolutely insane. Drag queen story hours right now for children, which is adult entertainment for children. We're seeing children being taught that there are 72 genders instead of two, which is preposterous, of course. But if you try to push back against that, they call you homophobe, xenophobe, any kind of phobe, and you literally viciously treat them. They go after your job, they go after your family. I mean, they're teaching pseudoscience, absolute bizarre pseudoscience, and we're being, told that this stuff is truthful. And now, give me a break. 72 genders. How come when archaeologists dig up bodies from thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago, they only find two genders instead of none of the other 72? I mean, but we're being taught this as fact right now. You learn history in school now. It's all revisionist, anti-American history. Children are not learning patriotism, and we're falling further and further behind. I think last year we came in 43rd of all countries in education, behind Estonia, of all things. I mean, how bad is it going to get? So we believe at our group that we have to push back, and that's exactly what we are doing, and we're doing it with great success. We put out some of the points. We oppose things like, we oppose attempts to replace our constitutional republic and traditional American values with communism and cultural Marxism. And we're seeing real communism right now. The Democrat Party, this is not JFK's party anymore. It really isn't. I'm sure you agree. They've gone full-blown communist. I mean, and what are the pillars of communism? What the pillars of society that communism has to destroy to be successful? Well, for one, is destroy the family. The family is one of the bulwarks of a constitutional republic, and they are destroying the family by the death of 1,000 cuts, by redefining what a family is, for example. I mean, it started with gay marriage, but now we're seeing, we're going to be seeing polygamy. We're seeing people who want to marry their pets. We're even seeing ecosexuals, people who want to marry trees. It's getting stupider every year. We also believe that we as straights are an oppressed majority. We do use that word majority, which really pisses them off. But the fact is that being normal, heterosexual right now is now considered like there's something wrong with you. They're actually bringing people into our schools to recruit for the LGBTQ community, which is wrong. Now, we don't give a damn what you're doing in your bedroom. That's none of my business. But we had one of the commissioners come into the school system in the town that I live in. He said, I'm here to gayify the schools. Now, what the hell is that? And again, if you speak up, well, you're a homophobe, No, I'm not. I think kids should be learning math, not to have sex when you're 10 years old. And this is what's going on. And even more alarming, and this has already started in California, they're now referring to a new sexual orientation, which they call MAPS, M-A-P-S. And that stands for Minor Attracted Persons. We're literally seeing the promotion of pedophiles. So if you don't want someone to have sex with your 8-year-old, are you going to be a pedophobe? I mean, if you, like you said, they thought you were crazy a few years ago when you said certain things. But yesterday's crazy is today's new normal.
That's right. They're trying to see what they've done is they've created a monopoly. They get to say what is science now. They get to say what is education, right? They have subverted all of our institutions, and they have took over all the leadership through the bureaucrats. And now
certainly in academia, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, well, most people would consider the left the people of science, also, right? That's what they try to claim, right?
We are pushing back against that. We've actually to push back against the Southern Poverty Law Center. We've opened the Super Happy Fun America Law Center, and the first group we took on was the Southern Poverty Law Center. And one of our hate categories is pseudoscience, which is what we're seeing right now, which is, of course, being pushed as real science, and it's simply not.
Right. If you are such a homophobe and a hate monger, why is it that you had did Milo Yiannopoulos was the grand marshal of your parade, correct?
Yes, he absolutely was, and because we were painted with with a false narrative by the media. I mean, they really had to twist themselves into pretzels to say it's okay to have a gay pride parade, but a straight pride parade is a hate parade. But yet they did that. This is what they all did. They lined up like good little lemmings and attacked us. And we stopped counting when we got like attacked by the 70th person in Hollywood. Literally all of Hollywood, all the late night talk show hosts, CNN, MSNBC, Huffington Post, you name it, we were attacked. And the British cases were even worse. I think I was mentioning to you earlier, the vice president of our group, Mark Zahedi, is a terrific guy who started Resist Marxism, by the way, which is a great group. Which we're also being told that we are being rebranded Resist Marxism, which is absolutely untrue. Me and Mark founded this as a separate organization, just to set the record straight, because that's another lie they're pushing. But in any event, they were calling Mark a white supremacist on all the papers over and over and over and over till I pointed out the inconvenient truth that Mark is actually an Arab. He's Syrian. And then they quickly pivoted to he has ties to white supremacists.
Right.
It's stupid on its face.
He's a sympathizer.
Everybody they don't like now is a racist. This is the new thing. And, the fact is, most people aren't racist nowadays. And we certainly aren't. But we're not going to defend ourselves against these stupid accusations. But the media is pushing us. Let me give you a quick example of the racism thing. A few weeks ago, we had an event called Back the Blue. It was to support the Boston police because, like I'd mentioned earlier, 9 of them were assaulted by these Gestapo Antifa types at the parade. They threw urine on them and assaulted them and caused injuries, yet the DA saw fit to dismiss every single charge. So we showed up with our Vietnamese allies, we had black allies, and it was a very diverse group that we had. I'd say it was 50% white, but the rest were, like I said, black, Vietnamese, Arabic people, all there to support the police. Well, Antifa showed up with noisemakers to prevent us from having our free speech, and the press all showed up. And the press, to a man and woman, refused to take pictures of anyone in that group who wasn't white. Which is difficult to do because, like I said, it was a very diverse group. And then, but they wanted to saying white supremacists. Well, if you actually took a picture of the whole group, which we, of course, did, it would show just the opposite. Antifa was not described as Antifa. They were referred to in the press as an anti-hate group. In other words, we're the haters for supporting the police.
The anti-fascists.
Antifa was screaming, the cops and the Klan go hand in hand, and, Black Lives Matter, but Blue Lives Murder, and all that BS.
Yeah, there's a clear alignment with the media, even the corporations in this nation. For example, tons of sports teams will have LGBTQ like nights. Are you familiar with this? Where
I'm more than familiar with it. Sure.
Yeah,
it's everywhere. Well, again, the tyranny of the minority. This really small percent of the population is dominating the culture because people are afraid to say, "Hey, maybe that's not my cup of tea."
Well, even if you come out and you just say, "Look, I'm not even going to go to a LGBTQ event," you might not have hate towards them or anything, but I'm just not supporting this agenda. You will be labeled as a hateful person.
Countries like Switzerland have now banned homeschooling because they want to ram the agenda down your throat. It's getting worse every year.
Well,
personally, as someone who's grown up as a Catholic, I don't support that type of lifestyle.
Right.
I don't think, like I said, the police shouldn't be kicking in your door. You have a right to assemble and love whoever you want, but that's not my belief system. And just because you don't believe in something doesn't make you a hater. But this is what they do to push down all opposition.
Well, that's what's great. That one meme I seen you shared where it says, "Be proud of who you are," right? And then you said, "Okay, I'm going to be proud of who I am. I'm going to have a straight pride parade." And then, yet you get all this hatred and vitriol thrown in your direction for being proud.
I won't mention the woman's name. I don't think she wants me to advertise it. But do you remember the Christian woman who showed up and spoke?
No, I didn't.
About her Christian beliefs, the Texan woman?
No.
They went to her house and they threw pink paint all over it.
Yeah.
This is obviously, again, what we call the Gestapo. The media would never report on a story like that, showing the real hatred in some of these groups. Intolerance from the people that are screaming the loudest about tolerance. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. If we were to do the same thing, they would charge us with hate crimes.
The exact same thing.
Yeah.
And this is what's so frightening about seeing all the charges reduced. You know Sam Matropi, right?
I'm
He's
not
one
familiar.
of the top leadership guys in our group. Anyway, Sam was at a rally in Rhode Island maybe 2 years ago. Nothing to do with Super Happy Fun America, but he was at a rally. I think it was for gun rights, which we support, of course. And an Antifa guy came up behind him and whacked him over the head with a bike lock. And if it had hit maybe another inch to the left, he would have either been dead or crippled for life. The judge tried to have the charges dismissed against the guy. And it turned out he was already on trial for doing something similar to someone else.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
literally, they can commit murder almost,
Yeah,
or attempted murder.
was that guy not a professor, if I remember correct?
No, he's not a professor. No, he's a law student. He's a combat veteran from the Horn of Africa.
No, the gentleman that hit him.
Is a veteran. I don't believe he was a professor. He was just, I think, your standard Antifa type.
Yeah, but he did end up getting charged, though, correct?
But they've been pushing it, trying to, we want to give him a plea bargain. We don't want him to do any jail time. You walk up and hit someone with a steel bike lock in the back of the head.
Yeah,
That's at least
attempted murder.
You should at least go to jail for a period of time.
In my book, that's
attempted murder.
Yeah, it's attempted murder.
He should have done, my opinion, 5 years in jail as a minimum. But he's not going to do a day in jail, because this is what we're seeing.
Right.
Facilitation, I'll say it again, the facilitation of leftist violence, whose main component is, and body inaction, is Antifa. And Antifa, which the media never says, and is absolutely true, is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat Party. They are the brown shirts of the Democrat Party.
I completely agree. And in contrast, when a Proud Boy just gets a charge for defending themselves, they're sentenced to 4 or 5 years in prison. It's ridiculous.
They're doing 4 of them, and they were defending themselves, like you said. But it doesn't. This is what we're dealing with now. We didn't have a single arrest on our side. You were there at our parade. No one on our side got arrested, and yet the media reported clashes. There's no clashes. We had the largest police force of any event in Massachusetts history. There were over 1,000 armed police there, and they did an amazing job. The only real issue is, and it wasn't the police's fault, it was the mayor of Boston, who's just a liberal whack job. They confiscated our American flags. And the excuse was that we could use them as weapons.
Right,
now,
with poles.
Our group, yeah, I mean, these are the little stick, you can snap the stick in half flags, okay?
Yep.
Give them out for free. We're a patriotic group. We love our American flag. And again, no arrests on our side. We were law-abiding. We jumped through all the hoops they made us jump through. And to take away our flags was really disgraceful, especially, like I said, when Mark Sahady and Sam Matropi are both combat veterans who risked their life for this country. Also, Mark Sahady, right after we declared the parade, had his house surrounded by police, and they confiscated his firearms.
Red flag?
This is really disgusting. We've already traced it back to Marty Walsh, by the way, in the city of Boston. Mark lives in Malden, okay? And the Malden police surrounded his house, took his firearms away. Mind you, this is a guy who served with the rank of captain in Afghanistan with no criminal record. It was really outrageous. We found about 6 violations of the law that took place. And we went to court, and they agreed to give him his guns back. They said, we file for your guns in January 1st, and you get them back. So he agreed. This is how courts work. Then, as soon as the New Year started, he went to the courts to get his guns back. Guess what? They wouldn't give him his guns back, even after they already agreed. It is now April, and he still doesn't have his guns back. This while we're receiving death threats and all kinds of threats of violence by these Antifa people.
Was he?
So not only do we have to deal with that, we're also being disarmed.
Right. Was he charged with any crime?
No.
So what? I don't understand. What's the basis of keeping? Did they pass red flag laws in Massachusetts?
It's not. It wasn't a red flag law deal. It was some technicality that he didn't renew a permit, which he's now taking care of everything. But we found out there are thousands of cases in Massachusetts that were similar, and they were never acted on. But be that what, even with all that, he did what he's supposed to do. They agreed to give him his guns in court. Literally agreed in court, and then didn't give him his guns.
Yeah,
talk about bait and switch. It's a very frightening thing that was going on. And we're against red flag laws, of course. We defend the right to bear arms. It's super duper important, and we're protected by the Second Amendment. We oppose all efforts to limit the freedoms of gun owners. Lawful gun owners are not committing crimes. We all know that.
What even makes
the rhetoric out there is all lies from the left leaning media. And let's say as it is. Yeah. Literally 5 media companies own 96% of all media now. And they're all far left. Not just left, they're far left. They call us far right. Let's call them far left.
And that's what makes these red flag laws so dangerous, is that they pick and choose. They literally pick and choose.
Arbitrary.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's a young man here in Michigan that is like 19 years old, and he took a picture of himself holding a AR-15, and he posted the caption underneath, "This will melt snowflakes." And this young man has been charged. He's been sitting in jail ongoing 90 days now.
I'm familiar with this case.
Yeah, it's
what an outrage.
Yeah, and he was in college, never had any other incident of criminal activity to any degree. A completely, innocent young man.
I didn't know free speech was criminal activity.
Well, let's get to that. The coronavirus, obviously. How do you feel? Obviously, you guys are probably in some type of lockdown there, correct?
Oh, yeah. I've been stuck at home for over,
couple
of months right now.
Yeah.
And
what is your stance on this whole issue?
Well, look at countries like Sweden that didn't have everybody lose their jobs. They have the same infection rate pretty much as anyone else, and they're dealing with it. They did some smart things here. They isolated the vulnerable populations like the elderly, people with pre-existing conditions, but they haven't destroyed their economy, which is what we're doing right now. We went from the best economy in 50 years
history
to the highest unemployment since the Depression, and this is unnecessary. I'm sorry. Every year there are flus that go around. Under the Obama administration, what was it? The H1N1 virus killed about 12,000 people, infected 60,000.
That's
and you don't even remember it because no one even talked about it. Every year the flu kills tens of thousands of Americans and millions worldwide, and you don't hear a thing about it. It's just, I honestly, I think there are some bad people who are using this as an excuse to suspend civil liberties, to push a far left agenda, to push socialism, and my God, what's going to be the end of this? Look how quickly we lost things like freedom of religion. I can't go to Easter Mass on Easter. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And we've had these guidelines in the grocery store. Okay, 6 feet apart. Fine, we stand 6 feet apart. And they make you stand 6 feet apart in the aisles, and they got it all marked off. And all the aisles are listed as one ways, and no one's paying attention to that. But what they didn't even think about, because this is how stupid they are, when you're in line at the grocery store, you're 6 feet from the guy behind you, but the guy at the register next door to you is like 3 feet away from you.
And he's come into contact with hundreds of people throughout the day.
Yes. So, I'd say you treat the people that are sick. You wash your hands. Don't cough on people. But I was in the grocery store. It looked like something from a Holocaust movie or something. I'm not talking about the Jewish Holocaust. I'm like, an Armageddon type situation where everybody had paper bags all over them. And all these face masks and hands covered with plastic, and
it's like the zombie apocalypse.
They made at home, which was absolutely ineffective.
Let me tell you a law we have here in Michigan. They banned all non-essential construction and property maintenance, right? So you literally can't have a lawn service right now. You can't have someone come over and cut your grass, right? But I can go out.
Yeah, they arrested a guy for surfing. They arrested a guy for preaching, doing a sermon.
Yeah. But you could literally have someone cut your grass and have no contact with them. You could pay them,
of course,
right? And but yet you're still able to go get carry out food here. You're still able to go get carry out food, someone make your food, but you can't have someone cut your grass. Now, we had an incident here where an elderly couple, they're still tagging people for long grass, right? They'll still write you a ticket for having long grass. Now,
that's your government at work. Look at that, right?
What is an elderly couple to do? Is this 90-year-old supposed to go out and cut the grass?
Of course not, but this is how absurd the whole thing is. And look how quickly, how easily they have pushed back on people's rights, taken away their freedom of movement, religion, taken their jobs. The government is controlling everything now. Now think about that. How easily people rolled over for that.
Well, I agree.
It doesn't speak well for us.
I'm under the impression, though, I truly believe the virus is real. I believe it's going to kill a lot.
It's real.
Right. It's going to kill.
But, you know,
it's going to kill a lot of people.
There's lots.
The question is, what are we going to give it up? What are we going to give up? Are we going to give up everything? You know, and I completely support. I get a lot of flack because I support them upping the unemployment. I support them giving the checks out to the people because they caused this. You know,
I'm all for it in an emergency situation. I don't want it to be a way of life. But right now, there's no job I can go get right now.
Right. Me too.
There's no job.
That's why I'm free doing this now. You know, like, I tried to meet up with you before this, but I was so busy with my schedule because I was working and the economy was going. I literally tried to set this up with you like 3 times before, but life was just so busy for me, you know, and now everyone's free. Right. And
okay.
Now the essential jobs are fast food workers. You get what I'm saying? Like, how is that an essential job?
Let's put this in perspective. Okay. From January 1st to March 25th, there were 21,000 deaths from coronavirus. That's worldwide, okay? In that same period, 113,000 deaths from the flu, 228,000 deaths from malaria, 250,000 deaths from suicide, 313,000 deaths from traffic fatalities, 390,000 deaths from AIDS, 581,000 deaths from alcohol, 1,162,000 deaths from smoking, almost 2 million from cancer, 2,300,000 from hunger, and the biggest killer, 9,913,000 deaths from abortion. Think about that. And now we're talking about 21,000 deaths worldwide. Kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it?
We're much higher than that though worldwide now. It's around 100,000.
I said from January 1st to March 25th.
Yeah, it's going to spread. I believe it will be one of the top eventually, but I think they're going to come out with a vaccine at some point. But to give away our rights, what do you think is the long-term ramifications of us?
Well, I think this could even be considered a trial run because look how quickly and easily they pushed back people's rights.
Right. They know they can do it.
All you have to say is virus, and everybody just hunkers down. Right. It's like, all these countries that have recently cracked down on guns. I'll give you 2 big examples, Australia and New Zealand. It's gun confiscation. All these Americans that say, they'll take my guns over my dead body. I think a lot of them are big talkers, and if the police came to the door, they'd hand them right over. The vast majority.
Right. Almost every...
People are afraid to fight back.
Almost every law that's been implemented on us in the past 15, 20 years, we self do it. We do it on ourselves. Like when they made smoking in public places illegal here, everyone just quit doing it. There was no protest. There was nothing. And then they silently raised the smoking age to 21. So now in this country...
They also want to ban smoking in your own house.
Right. Completely, especially if you have children.
Now, I'm sorry. I think that's going too far. Don't be blowing smoke in your kid's face, or maybe you go in you have a room for that or whatever. You do it on the porch, but it's an intrusion into private property once again.
Well, think about this. You're 21 years old. You can't...
all related.
You can't smoke a cigarette till 21 years old in this country. But if you work, you can go work in a strip club at 18 years old if they don't serve alcohol as a
You can go to fight in a war at 18.
yeah. And what are they doing if they catch you smoking a cigarette and you're 19 years old in the military? Are they actually bringing charges up out of these people?
I say if you're old enough to stop a bullet, you're old enough to smoke and drink, for that matter.
Yeah. Well, if we're gonna make all the laws to 20,
if that's not the case, then make the age for the military 21.
right? You're not an adult until you're 21. Why not? But
Well, then you can't join the military till you're 21.
Right.
Boy, you watch how quickly things change if that was the case.
and then the liberals want to do the opposite on voting. They want to lower the voting age
To 16.
Yeah, because they want the ignorant. They want the people that they can
of
influence.
course. No one wants to vote for the Democrats anymore. That's why they want to import votes.
Right.
That's why they want open borders, because they know that people coming here illegally are going to vote Democrat.
Right.
So
So
the Democrats are going to give the illegals all kinds of free stuff with our money.
well, I appreciate the work you guys are doing. You keep up the good
Hey,
fight.
someone got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. Everybody thinks someone else is going to stand up for their rights, and it's just not true.
Yeah. Well,
Really, nobody's doing it. And one of the reasons we are so controversial is we don't back down when they attack us and call us those horrible lies, and we're not going to be intimidated. And we got some, as you know, we got some pretty tough people running our group, and we are not intimidated. We're not going to let them get away with it. We love our country, we love our Constitution, and we're watching it being destroyed by the death of 1,000 cuts, and it's got to stop.
we also need to galvanize and unite. There's a lot of infighting. Your organization may be different, but you see the infighting on the right. People fighting over every little thing. And we got to put that stuff aside to realize there's a greater threat.
We do need to work together. Nothing's worse than the Republican Party in Massachusetts. 9 days before I secured my nomination for Congress, I didn't have an opponent. 9 days, all of a sudden, the Mass Republican Party, run by our extremely far left-wing governor, who's supposed to be a Republican, but he's anything but, they put up some very wealthy doctor to run against me, very rich guy,
right,
and supported by the liberal establishment.
Primary.
9 days, dude. Okay.
So I take it you didn't. I take it you didn't get any money from the party.
I absolutely crushed him. I got 2/3 of the vote.
Hello?
But it shows the mentality. And we had 83% of all races in Massachusetts were unopposed. Think about that, 81%. And the Republican Party, run by these liberals, literally wouldn't let any of the candidates get a dime. They did an audit, and they found out they spent $200,000 on private parking and steak dinners, but no money for candidates. This is how bad it is. Now, fortunately, we've ousted the governor's lady, who was Kirsten Hughes. She's one of the most reprehensible people you ever met. Wouldn't even speak to candidates. Now, think about it. You're the head of the Republican Party, and when people won their primaries, they called her for support. She refused to speak to them. Can you imagine?
Representing the people.
But that's the head of a political party. Now, like I said, we just got a terrific guy named Jim Lyons. It's interesting. We're both the sons of Arlington cops, which is my hometown in Massachusetts. And he's a terrific guy, and he's sick and tired of the BS, and he's doing everything he can to get rid of all these people. But when Trump talks about the swamp, he's not just talking about Democrats. He's talking about Republicans like Mitt Romney and other rhinos.
Right. Well, I'm not saying we have to embrace all ideology, but I feel like a lot of the infighting is completely unnecessary. And
I think it's people who have the courage of their convictions, and the people who blow whichever way the wind blows.
There's going to be that, but the left tends to unite when the times get tough, no matter what. Yes,
they march in lockstep. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, and has this affected any? You have any plans in the future? Your organization, any protests?
We're about 4 times bigger than we were last year, and you saw what kind of a huge event we put on.
Right,
we're at least 4 times bigger. Yeah, we've got we're bringing in new directors. We've brought in a couple this week, some terrific people. We've got some real high quality. like anything else, when you're a new group, you make mistakes,
Correct.
but we've learned from them, and people there's a real thirst for what we're doing out there.
Are you looking
People are
into
joining
starting
us.
like state chapters or?
We already have a 501c4. We're pretty much, we got people doing straight pride parades all over the world. I know Israel had one, Greece had one.
Wow. Well, any plans for any events this summer?
So no, we're planning on going national, maybe even international.
All right.
But right now we're building our core organization in Boston, and we're having a great time. We got some big things coming up, even in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
And I can't really tell you right now because they're in the works, but it's amazing what we're doing right now.
All right. And where
we've got
can we
some
find
really
you
good
guys?
people that have come out of the woodwork to help us.
Where can we find you guys?
Well, we have a couple of websites. We're at World Wide Web, www.superhappyfunamerica.com. And we also have www.SHFA, for Super Happy Fun America, lclawcenter.org. So we've got those two things. Or you could just type Super Happy Fun America. You'll probably find us.
A Facebook page?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page too.
All right. Any other
Super
social
Happy
media?
Fun America. Well, we have all kinds of social media coming up right now, but that's off the top of my head what I can tell you.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. You have anything else you'd like to say?
No, we hope you make it for our next parade. It'll probably be in October this year, right before the election, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it might be a little more rowdy this time around. Are you going to bring?
Hey, we will take all comers.
Are you going to bring back Adam again?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of cool. We're gonna have a lot of cool people. We haven't announced everybody yet because this coronavirus is just sucking up all the news. But don't worry, we're here to stay and we're not going anywhere.
All right, thank you, and that's the end of our show. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do it again.
All right, take care.
Have a good day.